What's going on, everyone? It's Bales, and welcome back to another Wednesday Trade Talk video ahead of round 11. We got plenty to get through, so we've got a couple of injuries to deal with this week for some coaches. Some coaches may even have three with all the bad luck going around at the moment. It's just one of those weeks. So let's get straight into the most popular trade ins and outs, and then we'll get into my top 5 targets and what my trades are looking like this week. So the most traded player, not a surprise, George Wardlaw, 13.7k coach are bringing him in. He played really well on the weekend, scoring 82 points with, I think he had the 9 tackles as well, which is really good to see. Yeah, he's just got the role. He's got the round 15 bye, which obviously sucks. It would have been great if he had that sort of round 14 bye or even around 13 bye. Obviously, we wasn't going to have that anyway because only 2 teams got round 13 bye, but yeah, I think he's just a great get. He's got the role, and I think he'll put up some solid scores. It depends. Like, I think some coaches will be happy to play him on field, but then other coaches will want to have him on the bench to generate cash. So at this stage, for me, he's actually on my bench because I'll be bringing him in. So I'll go through my trades after, but he will be one of the ins because I need to get him in. I think a lot of people need to. So he'd be one of my top targets, which we'll see where he comes in the top 5. Zach Merritt's next, 6,500 coaches are jumping on him. Obviously, got a great matchup again. Had a huge score last week, 158 against Richmond. West Coast, I'm a bit nervous that he's going to cop the O'Neill tag this week, so I'm not sure there's going to be a huge score coming. But then again, he's against the Eagles. Who knows? Do they tag him or do they tag someone else? I don't know. I think Merritt is the obvious tag, so I think he will get tagged, but just depends, do they hold that tag or do they end up not worrying about it? So it'll be interesting to see. Then he's got North Melbourne the week after, but I do think he will cop the tag this week. So I'm not as high on Merritt this week as other people are. I know the run's great, but I do rather another premium midfielder over him, and won't take people too many guesses to guess who exactly I would want over Merritt. Zach Butters, 5,500 the coach is bringing him in. Great matchup this week against the Tigers. He's been fantastic the last 3 weeks, 148. And then back-to-back 110s. I think was it 118 and a 110? I think were his 2 scores before that. He's just been fantastic. 842, so getting up in price there now. No, what? Yeah, 111, 118, and 148. Getting up there in price now, 842. Not as much value as what he was a few weeks ago, but still the break into 50. He's only going up. Still has some good fixtures to come, especially these next 2 here. Could put up some really big scores. Bulldogs at Marvel could be not too bad as well. Geelong Adelaide Oval could be a little bit tricky, but I think he'll put up a score anyway. The only real concern with Butters is just the fact that his bash and crash style, does he cop a knock? Does he get injured? That's obviously the one thing we've got to watch out for with Butters. But I still think he's a good target as a forward as well. I think he'll be a top 6 forward based on his form at the moment. If he can keep that going, he's going to be a great pick even at this elevated price compared to what he was at. Ben Hobbs next, 3.7k coach is bringing him in. I do like him. He's obviously underpriced. All those injuries in the Bombers midfield has meant he's getting a little bit more opportunity there. Just the average of 130 at VFL level does really intrigue me. And the fact that he only had 9 CBAs on the weekend, but still had 7 marks and 6 tackles. So he was able to fill up all the stat lines, which is what we want our players to do. So have a look at that. So 23 disposals, 7 marks, 6 tackles. That's what we want. So 92 points, 85 the week before, 61 and then 83. So his game time steadily increasing. Obviously a slight decrease based on from around 9 to 10, but I think we'll slowly start seeing it creep above 75% and probably maybe closer towards 80% the more games he gets. So I like him as a target. Low break even. He'll make some cash as well as hopefully put some good scores on the board with some good matchups coming. Bailey Humphrey next, 3.6k coaches are bringing him in. I can't really split him and Hobbs a great deal. I think both of them are really good targets. Humphrey's got the -3 break even. Probably got the more difficult matchups to come in the next couple of weeks, but he's got the better buy of round 13. He's valuable with mid-forward stays. He's looked really good last 2 weeks. I'm really bummed I didn't bring him in last week, and I ended up going Drury and Ash. I wish I went Humphrey and Hobbs. Then I could just sort of do other trades this week, but I've probably got to bring in one of Hobbs or Humphrey. So, yeah, I'll go through who I'll bring in later in. But I do like both. I think both are going to be really good. I think I was saying on the Hat Chat podcast, which if you guys haven't checked it out, I made a guest appearance with the boys over at Hat Chat. So thanks very much to them for getting me on for the week. But I was saying between Hobbs and Humphrey, if you're picking Hobbs, I'd pick Hobbs if you're playing him on field, and then Humphrey if you're looking for someone to make a lot more cash a lot more quickly. So I think I'm just leaning Hobbs, but yeah, it might be interesting in terms of what I'll do this week. Lachlan McAndrews, 3.2k coach, to bringing him in. I think it's still fine because Peter Lannon's going to be out for a while. The only thing is, if Hickey's back this week, I don't think I'd be launching into McAndrew this week because I'd rather wait and see if he holds his spot. Well, how he plays this week, and then if he holds his spot after the bye, because obviously got a game this week, then they got their bye. If he's in there round 13 for me, that's when I'll look at picking him up because McLean is not a bad backup ruckman, so they could go with Hickey and McLean there. But obviously with their key forwards out as well, maybe McLean to play more of that key forward role. But I'd much rather wait. I'd cop the 20, 30, 40k makes this week, depending on how he scores. -2 break even. So even if he gets a 60, he got 40k, so it might be 270, but I'd be happy to pay that for him because then he'd be useful for rounds 13, 14, 15. So I don't mind people going early on him if you've already got a Wardlaw and maybe you've already got one of a Hobbs or Humphrey. But for me, I'd rather wait to round 13, I think. Bailey Smith, 2.4k coach of bringing him in. He looked fantastic last week against my Crows. Score of 121. Had, 37, was it 37 disposals? Yeah, 37 touches. No marks. I think that was more to do with the conditions and the oval. So I think he'll take more marks. Again, he's actually a little bit cheaper than Butters now, and I think I'm leaning just to Bailey Smith just because I probably trust him a bit more. And I think he played that well that even when Trelaw comes back, surely Bevo doesn't just... I know Bevo's Bevo, he can do anything, but I just think he played that well that surely that sort of reminds him of what he did last year, and Bailey Smith stays in that midfield. And his time on ground was up as well, 88%, which was also really good to see. So if I see another week of that, that's going to be really interesting. I'm going to have to maybe consider him, even though he is on that round 15 bye. Josh Fahey, 2.1k coach. I swear I mention him every week. But with the injuries to Himmelberg and Haynes and Phil Davis was another one I didn't actually mention on the Daily News recap video last night. I think Fahey could come in. He's not like-for-like replacement. Obviously, he's more of a rebound halfback / wingman, but obviously he's learning to be a wingman at the moment. But he's more halfback. He's not like-for-like replacement for Himmelberg and Haynes, but maybe does Iden play more of a taller role, and Fahey comes in and pushes maybe someone else to a bit more of a defensive role. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what happens with their mix back there. But Fahey could get a game, and I think he will, because he had a good game of 42 touches, 14 marks or something, and 162 points in the VFL. So his form backs up the fact that he probably should get a game, but we'll have to see. Josh Weddle, 1.6k coach are bringing him in. Negative break even as well. So another guy that's got a negative break even. Under 400k, still had a great game last week with 102. I'm just not sure his scoring potential, if he's going to continue to be that. Obviously, you take that score out, he's scoring those 50s. So I think that was more due to the fact that he played the Eagles. But if you're happy to pay the elevated price, he will make cash and he'll make it quickly. That round 14 buy as well. I think there's a few defenders on that buy, but I think he's still not a bad target. Again, if you've already got a Wardlaw, some people have already got McAndrew on their bench already. If you're looking for a guy that's a little bit more expensive as a rookie, then Weddle could be that guy with that negative break even. So I don't mind him. Andrew Brayshaw, 1.5k coach are bringing him in. I personally couldn't bring in a midfielder that was on a bye the following week, or another player that's on the bye the following week for that matter. But it could be a play if you're really, really short on round 12 and you need people on that round 12 bye. I don't mind going a week early on Andrew Brayshaw. But I would still rather look at a round 14 or round 15 player. Hopefully you're not too heavy on round 15, then you can look at the likes of Bailey Smith and Butters. But if you are already heavy on that bye, I don't mind going early on a Brayshaw, but obviously just knowing that he will be on bye next week. Rory Laird, one of my favourite targets this week. Everyone knows I love Lairdy, but he just looked back to his best on the weekend. 131 points. His tackles obviously were there. These tackles have been there for the last sort of 5-6 weeks. He's had 600 tons in a row. That was his second high score for the year behind that one before he turned round 2, which was good to see. It was against the Dogs, which is a tough matchup, and in Ballarat, his game time was back up over 80%, which I really like when I see him over 80% because there's a lot of these 70s here. So 34 touches, 5 marks. Good to see him get marks as well. As I said, 6 tons in a row. It's just these free kicks. If he can start giving these free kicks away, he's going to push these 110s to 120s and be that like that guy last year. And I still think he is going to be that guy last year. The game's going to slow down more. As I said, look at his tackles. 3 of the last 5 weeks he's gone over 10, and 4 of the last 5 he's gone over 9. So that tackle base is there. He's got that safe floor again. Brisbane this week, I don't think he'll be tagged. Well, I don't see him, but I don't think Brisbane even tagged, so he won't be tagged. And he's got another few good games in before the bye and then even after the bye. So really lovely. He's a target this week. He's also cheaper than what he was. Rory Atkins as well, 1.2k coach, so bringing him in. I still think it's a little bit too late, but you can still bring him in. I think the fact that Lemons is now out as well, it's another defender that's going to be out for Gold Coast, and Weller's still a couple of weeks away, I think, with this knee issue. I don't actually know when he'll come back. He probably won't be back till post-bye, which is obviously good for Atkins' job security, taking these kick-ins. Low break-even still. If you're happy to move on him, I still don't mind the play because of that bye. It's so helpful. He's still cheap enough you can move, but I feel like this is the final week to get Atkins in. I think it's personally too late. I think you've missed a lot of cash gen. Like a lot of coaches have got 150 plus K from him already, or at least 100K. Whereas getting him now, you might only get 100K more, but that could be valuable for you. So I don't mind moving on him, but this is the final week. You're not bringing him in next week. It's this week or it's never. Sheed, as I said on the pod on Sunday, it would have been good if he did this for us at the start of the year. Sheed, huge score on the weekend of 139, 30 touches, 8 marks, 5 tackles, filling up all the stat lines, a couple of goals. 721k, it's expensive a little bit now, considering he's over 100k cheaper at the start of the year. I guess you could 40 break even. If he can go at 95, 100 for the next 3-4 weeks until he's bye, then it is a play because he'll go up to near the 800k and you can maybe move him to a better player. But yeah, I don't mind it. I'm personally just think it's a little bit expensive. If it's 100k cheaper, it'd be very, very interesting at near that 600k, like he started at. Because this is what we thought he was going to do at the start of the year. But yeah, he just didn't, obviously working his way back from injury. Doherty there as well. Just again, I don't think he was named on Carlton's injury list from what I saw. So hopefully he's all good. And then I don't mind him as a target. Again, just buy structure, just take that into account. I know a lot of coaches don't actually really care about buy structures because they're more worried about their league matchups and all this. And if that's the case, then fine, launch in any player you want, any of these players here. But yeah, if buy structure doesn't work, I wouldn't force bringing Doherty into your side. But he's still averaging 107 for the year. He's still been solid enough. Solid enough. He's still been good. He's only really had the one poor score, or two really, here. But since he's back, 3 scores over 110. I still like him as a target if he works for your buy. Is expensive, so maybe you want to take a bit of a haircut for a Sinclair, who has got the buy next week. But yeah, not a bad option there. So they're the players that have been brought in by over 1,000 coach. You've got a few options like Tom Green, Jack Steele, Jack Sinclair, Seamus Mitchell, Cam Fleeton. I don't mind any of those targets as well if they fit your team. Most traded out players, not a surprise. Clayton Oliver is the most traded out, 13.1k. Coach are trading him out, and obviously that number will continue to rise as we head towards Friday. Yeah, if you've got him, I think you've got to trade, even if it's only a week, which, again, we don't really know what this is. I think it's 1 to 4 weeks, so it's going to be difficult to know if he's only going to miss a week. Because if he missed a week, you could argue that you could hold him. But the fact that it's so vague, there's a chance he misses and he doesn't play till the bye. So I would look to move him on. He's just so expensive. He's up at, what's his price? He's like, he's still near $1 million. Yeah, $990. So he's still expensive. You can get any midfielder you want. You can actually make money by going to another midfielder. So, yeah, Clayton Oliver just says to be confirmed on the injury report. Sorry. So I would trade him just for the safety of, you just don't know, because I wouldn't be surprised if he's back next week, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he's back post-bye. We just don't know. Just because he played the game out, Josh Kelly, who I'm sure will pop up at some point in the most trade out as well, he got injured in the second quarter, I think it was reported, and he's now out for 4 weeks. So just because they finish the game doesn't mean that they're going to come back next week and they're fine, because they could still do damage and they've probably got to rest it so it doesn't happen again. Then you've got these rookies here. So you've got like Ollie Hollands, who's been subbed out 2 games in a row, dropped a little bit in price. His break-even's now up to 76. So it is a good week to move him, especially as well. He's a round 15 rookie. So getting another player from round 15 off and out of your team is a good move. So, yep, it's time for Hollands to go. Ruben Jinby, again, same thing. He's got round 14 bye, but I still am happy to move him on. His break-even's up to 68. 24 last week. He take out that 96 that he got the week before, hasn't gone over 70 since round 3. Hasn't gone over 65 since round 3. So, yeah, I'd take out that one game, obviously. So I'd be happy to move him on. Luke Pedler, I guess you can keep him out of the guys here, but I'd still be happy to move him on. Obviously, 46 last week. Bad matchup against the Bulldogs. Obviously, Ballarat's a tough ground to score on. 59 break-even means he's not a must-go, but his average is 61, break-even to 59. It is pretty much time for him to go. But if you want to hold him, I don't mind holding him until his round 14 bye. But if he's on your field, you might want to upgrade him to like a guy like a Ben Hobbs or a Jai Caldwell or someone like that. So I'm fine moving Pedler on. Alex Chincotta, again, just probably a watch if he gets named or not. Nearly 5k coach to trading him out. If he comes back in, you hold him, obviously. But whether he comes back in is obviously another question. So, yeah, just make sure that he's not named. And then if he is named, you hold him. Jason Johannisen, another forced trade for coach as well. 1.9k coach, you've got to trade him out. I don't think he was a hugely popular player. Yeah, 1.67%. And then, 1.9k coach to trade him already. So he wasn't a hugely popular player, but still was very valuable for those people that jumped on him, made some good cash and put up some good scores. But obviously he's out for 8 to 10 weeks, so he's got to go. Judd McVee, yep, time for him to go as well. Obviously he's only averaging the 47 anyway, so he's not really putting up huge scores. 39 last week, so I'd be happy to downgrade him to someone. Samson Ryan as well. He's one that it could be valuable to hold on to him till at least maybe round 14, because with Marshall and Darcy, 2 popular rucks on bye next week, you could hold Samson Ryan to play next week and then move him at round 15. So I'll almost hold him, but again, if your rucks are fine, if you've got English and Marshall, and then you've got a McAndrew on the bench or something like that, you can move Samson Ryan on and downgrade him because he's at a good price at 472k. Plus, as well, what happens is you get Damien Harwick's obviously now not going to be there anymore, so is Samson Ryan going to stay on the side or what's going to happen? So I'd be happy to move off him if it fits. James Warple, again, he's probably a hold to his bye. Great match against the Saints this week, so you should at least hold him probably one more week. But again, some coaches have already got these rookies off the field. So if you've got all these rookies off the field, maybe but Ashcroft and Sheasel, and Warple's your worst issue or your biggest issue, I'd be happy to move him on to a bigger player like a Laird or a Brayshaw or Steele or something like that. And then Jacob Van Ruin here, obviously people are just going him down. Again, I'd be happy to move him on. He's not making a crazy amount of money. Average of 49, break even 37, so it's nearing time for him to go. Again, of course, if he pops to 70 or something this week, then all of a sudden he's going to make more cash. Freo this week could be a difficult matchup with their tall defenders there, but if Van Ruin could pop a good score this week and make more cash, you could hold him to his bye, but I'd be happy to move off him if that means getting a Wardlaw or another rookie. Josh Kelly's mentioned before, out for 4 weeks, so yeah, he's got to go. 1.1k coaches have got him. Round 15 bye, so in a way, it might actually help some coaches fix a bye structure because they might have had to trade him anyway. So at least he put up a good score, like a solid enough score. If you're going to get any bullets, you want the bullets like Oliver and Kelly, where they're expensive. You can get them to any other primo mid that you want or premium player in their position, and they also put up a solid score for you the week they get injured. It's the ones like the Mills and Toot Miller from earlier in the year. Guys like that where they get injured low score, that's when it really hurts you. So, yeah, Josh Kelly, what's he priced at as well? Yeah, 908. So you can pretty much get him to anyone you want. It's not going to cost much to go up to a Laird or a Brayshaw. And you can even go down to a Bailey Smith if you ran 15 buys fine, or Zach Butters, and actually make yourself 50 odd K. So, and again, if you need a forward as well, it'll obviously all team dependent. But yeah, he's got to go. And yeah, Fergus Green, Lockie Cowan, they can go. Finn Callahan, again, he could probably stay to his bye, especially with that really nice run coming up after the Geelong matchup. Like they've got North Melbourne first? No, Richmond, then North Melbourne, then Freo. So I don't mind actually holding Callahan to his bye, but the fact that his break-even's now 70, you could move him on. He's 627k, he's cheap. You can actually go down to Hobbs and make money. So I'd be happy enough to move Callahan on, again, if he's your worst issue, but he's also not the worst hold in there. Guys like Chandler, Wilmot, Cozzy Pickett, Jaden Hunt, they can all go. They're all mid-prices that aren't making any more cash, and yeah, they're nearing time to go, so they can all go as well. Okay, so my top 5 targets heading into round 11. So at number 1 target for me, he's probably not much of a surprise. It's George Wardlaw. I think he's one of the... He's not a must-have, but he's very, very close to it. We heard Selby say on his podcast earlier yesterday that we're very lucky to get a... Well, not lucky, but it's very... I'm trying to figure out how to say this. It's not difficult. We don't normally get like top sort of 5 to 10 draft picks, especially midfielders, come into their team at this time of the year and then also play a role like he is in that midfield. So we're sort of blessed with this gift right on the eve of the buys, where we're going to get a guy that's got a good role. He's going to play and hopefully put up some solid scores through the buys. And again, if you've got 22, 21, if he scores a 30, it's not going to count for you because your lower scores are going to drop off anyway. But I think he'll be solid. I think he'll put up some pretty good scores and make good cash. So I think he's my number 1 target. Number 2, again, because of Josh Kelly and Clayton Oliver being injured, I think this makes the primo mids probably got to be high targets this week. So for me, Rory Laird's number 2. I prefer him over Zach Merritt, and that's taking bias away. I'm not even talking about the fact just because it's Laird, my boy, and I'm talking... Laird, for me, he averaged 129 the back half of last year. I don't think he's going to average 129, but he's getting going now. He looked good on the weekend, 131. This is around the time last year that we saw Laird go big and get on a really good roll. He's got not necessarily the easiest matchup against Brisbane this week, but he won't get tagged. He should have put up a solid score, and then he's got some good matchups to come before his bye and then post his bye. Because Oliver had the round 14 bye, getting Laird, if your bye structure is really good, getting a bye round for the same player, really good. But obviously, if you've got Josh Kelly, it probably helps your buys as well. So I think Rory Laird for me is my number 2 target. Number 3. So number 3 is quite difficult because I like both Hobbs and Humphrey. I'll lean Hobbs at number 3 just because I think he's probably better to play on field and safer to... has probably a higher floor than a Humphrey. And with the good matchups as well, also probably sways it just in his favour. So Hobbs for me would be number 3. I like the just his scoring pedigree. Like he's been a scorer at junior level, he scores in the VFL, and he's scoring at AFL level with solid scores, and that's not playing full-time mid. So if he gets a bump in those CBAs, which you never know, he could get it, maybe just slowly working him back, maybe gets more CBAs, he could be really, really good and beneficial for teams through the buys because he'll make good cash and put some solid scores up. So I like him at number 3. Number 4, Bailey Humphrey, I think. Negative break even. He is at an elevated rookie price at 423k. Back-to-back 90s. And 2 games now at TIO Stadium in a row, but the fact that they play at Metricon Stadium all the time anyway, and they're in Queensland, I don't think the conditions are going to be a huge issue for the Suns players. Obviously, they're not going to be able to get as many marks and whatever, but they're going to be used to those conditions, playing and training in them. So, yeah, I know Northern Territory conditions are slightly different to Queensland, but they're sort of the same sort of thing. It's humid up there, it's muggy. So I think Humphrey will be fine. He can tackle his way and get some touches to a solid score. So I do like him. And then at number 5, it's probably got to be Merritt. It's probably got to be Merritt just because, like, again, premium midfielders are the flavour of the week just with the injuries and stuff. But he has got the Eagles this week. I still don't expect him to put up a real dud score. I probably don't see him going a 130 plus again. But if he doesn't get tagged, he could do that again. But I think he will cop attention. He may score a low 100. But it's next week against North Melbourne where he could actually go big again. Obviously, we saw last year against North Melbourne. That was the game where he went that 170-odd, where he had like 130-odd point second half. So we know he can score well against any team, and especially against teams where he doesn't get attention. I think that could be next week. But he could still put up a solid score this week. And then also like Butters and Bailey Smith. I just didn't put him in the top 5 just because they're not going to work for a lot of coaches because round 15 is a bit tricky. A lot of people have already got these rookies, premiums, and everything from round 15. So maybe adding one more is probably too much. But again, if you can fit a round 15 player, Butters and Smith, I really like as options as well. And then, yeah, and if Faye gets a debut, then he'd be a great target at basement. And we know he's a good scorer at VFL level. So trying to hold the yawn in, but it's getting a bit later. I'm recording this a bit earlier than what I normally record other videos, but still yawning. So, but yeah, I like all those targets. They've been my top 5. My trades for this week, I'm looking at going Ruben Jinby to George Wardlaw to make a little bit of cash there. Jimmy was on my bench anyway, so I'm happy to get a little bit of cash there. And then my second trade's probably up for debate still at the moment. At the moment, I've still got Luke Pedler up to Ben Hobbs to get that guy on field. Probably going to score a bit better. Same buy, so it doesn't ruin buy structure, but I might need an extra round 14 play potentially. But the other thing I'm considering is, do I do a Lockie Cowan to Bailey Humphrey to get that red dot off, get a round 13 buy player rookie? It's going to make money. It's a 50-50 call for me. I'm not sure what way I'm going to go, because the getting rid of a red dot and getting a round 13 buy player that's going to make cash over the buys is going to be quite handy. But then also getting another rookie off field, meaning I've only got Sheasel and Dylan Williams, Sheasel, Ashcroft and Dylan Williams on field. I'm pretty happy with that. And then again, Sheasel and Ashcroft are well, she's not really a rookie anyway. We're almost considering him a keeper for the year. And then Ashcroft is 300 out of his last 4. I think it was. Let me have a look. Actually, is it 300 for Ashcroft in his last 4? I believe it is. Yeah, the 120, 109, then the 115. Yeah, so he's scoring obviously really well at the Gabba. It'll be interesting to see if he can score well against the Crows at Adelaide Oval. Obviously, Crows can be restrictive, but they can also give up points like they did to the Bulldogs last week. So, yeah, I'm very torn on the trade, but I'll see what way I go. Obviously, I'll be back with Tim on Friday for our pre-lockout Twitter space, so everyone will be able to know what trades I'll be doing there. So we'll be live, obviously, on YouTube and on the Twitter space, so feel free to tune in on whatever platform you guys want. And yeah, get all your relevant information. Obviously, teams and everything will be out, so plenty of good discussion there. We'll get some other coaches as well to jump on and see what they're doing and answer some questions. But yeah, appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, make sure you leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're on our way to 1,100 subscribers, so we're only 23 away. So if you can help me reach that goal, that'd be very much appreciated. Hopefully by the end of the week, that'd be fantastic if we can do that. And yeah, follow my social media links in the description below. Turn notifications on so you don't miss when I go live or upload any other content in the future. Obviously, be back later on this evening for the daily news recap, and then Friday for the pre-lockout Twitter space. Watch along as well, be Saturday. Not sure about Friday yet. I'll let everyone know if I'll be back for the watch along on Friday, but we do have one on Saturday that will be happening. So make sure you guys are tuning in on Saturday night and watch the game along with me and get some good chat going. Just having a look at what the Saturday night game is actually. So you got Gold Coast Bulldogs and West Coast and Essendon. So it probably will be Gold Coast Bulldogs. There's a lot. I just have a few more relevant players in that game. I think a lot of people do. West Coast Essendon. A lot of people probably got Merritt, but that's, and maybe Hobbs, but you never know. It might actually be the second year in a row that I don't actually have Hobbs in my team during a watch along. So anyway, guys, I'll catch you in the next video. So I'm out. Cheers.